Hi friends, welcome back to the Patreon. A little bit of a different setup today. You can see how small my poster actually is. I'm using my old camera. I used to use this camera for all of my videos, but I'm still using my good audio. So hopefully that's an improvement. I went to use my camera, but if you guys don't know, if you do want updated behind the scenes, like all of the equipment I use, I can definitely do that, but I use my iPad as a external monitor, and right now my iPad is dead, and I didn't realize, and I really wanted to film this for you guys while I had it fresh in my mind. I just watched Hunted, and I'm actually really surprised by this film, and now looking on the IMDb page, I'm very surprised about two more things. Number one, it has a 5.4 out of 10, which I actually really enjoy the film. I do think it's a bit chaotic, but we'll get into it. And number two, I'm really surprised that it's listed at least at the top as action and thriller. I'm not sure down the bottom. Yes, genres, action and thriller, where again, we're back at this argument. I would say it's definitely a horror movie. Very surprising. So the film is interesting because it feels like a collection. It's such a collection of different countries, and it has that kind of mesh up. It has that mashup or meshing that what was that film? Revenge. I felt like that had, because it was filmed in South Africa, but it was French, I believe. And this one, it says it's from Belgium, France, and Ireland. So, and it's spoken in English, and it doesn't say where it's filmed, and I felt like that was weird. I'm not sure if I missed that detail in the movie, but it's filmed somewhere in Europe, and then there's like a guy with an American accent, and then she's French, and then there's a security guard later on in the film, which gets so wacky. The film gets wacky, but he speaks English. Although if it's in, Belgium or somewhere, like, you just assume they wouldn't be speaking English. I don't know. It's very weird. Anyway, so this is going to be, I'm going to get into spoilers, but I will tell you when, so not just yet. The film is really loosely based, not really based, but maybe takes some ideas from Little Red Riding Hood. Themes such as wolves being in the woods, and the woman, she wears not one, but two red coats. She's got like a zip-up hoodie underneath a red jacket, which I thought was very strange. But this film is very strange, so it's for strange people, and maybe that's why I really actually liked it, surprisingly. The film centers around Eve, I believe, and she goes in, maybe it's like Adam and Eve. Anyway, she goes into this nightclub. She's having some relationship issues, and a guy starts hitting on her, and she isn't having it, and a man swoops in and tries to save the day, but little does she know, wolves are always in sheep's clothing. Let's talk about the cinematography before we get into the spoilers, because I think that that's like really cool. There's several different aspects. This is definitely a journey film. If you've heard me use that term before, it just means where you start and where you end are completely different. And if you've seen the trailer, it does give away a lot. But I don't think it's like giving away any big aspects. I feel like it's just giving away, certain plot points and where it goes from there. But a lot of the film does take place in a forest kind of surrounding landscape. There's this cold bluish tint going on, and with the red hood that she's wearing, it's very contrasted. There's a lot of like shallow depth of field, a lot of shots where their faces in the foreground and everything else is completely blurred, and it's just some really amazing shots and some amazing landscapes, which isn't hard to do in the scenery like this. But it's very well shot. It's very beautiful. It really reminded me of, I'm going to throw to this all the time now I've seen the show, The Third Day, when he's in the woods and he has that kind of really close, f-stop, or like just really close camera in his face, and everything else is, large, but it's so focused on him. Does that make sense? So anyway, I love the cinematography in this film. The gore in this film is intense, and I wasn't expecting that. Just some moments that make you squirm, and it's just done really well. But I would say overall, the film really, the interesting thing about it is the perspective it takes, and I will get more into this when we get into spoilers, but it's not really what you think, and the film does get absolute batshit. It really does. It isn't a normal tent pole like film. It doesn't go through the arcs and the weaves and all that kind of stuff. It kind of it just gathers moss as it's rolling. And some of it is completely unbelievable. So I can understand why people probably don't like it because of that. And the main character is hard to attach yourself to. But I am under the belief that I don't think that the film is just about her, but it's about the wolf and his perspective, which is so interesting. I actually gave this film a 7 on Letterboxd because I was so surprised by it and I thought it was such an interesting journey. I would have given it a 6.5. I just didn't think it just deserved a 6, so I gave it a 7. I'll see how I go if I change my mind. So that was my personal score. I will give you my scare and originality because I know I'm being vague before we get into the spoilers. Scare score, I'm going to give it a 4 for the gore. The gore is amazing in this film. I think it's great and really, yeah, gross and realistic, which I thought was cool. And originality, it's one of those films where it has no originality in like its subject matter, woman running from man. So that's like, maybe like a 5. But the way it's put together is so strange, and what I really enjoyed about it, because I couldn't understand what was going on, which is probably the big flaw everyone sees in it, but I actually really liked that. Anyway, I'm gonna get into spoilers, so hopefully you can stick around. If you haven't seen the film, I personally do recommend it, even though it IMDb, obviously other people don't. It only has 850 ratings. I never know what to call them. Ratings, ranks, reviews on IMDb. So 850, that's not very much. So, we'll see. But I do recommend it. Spooky Astronauts recommends it, you know what I mean? So if you do have Shudder, definitely check it out. And I'm saying Shudder. When I say shudder and shutter and shudder sound the same in my accent. So sorry about that. You know what I mean. I'm going to get into the spoilers now. Oh my God. That was such an interesting, strange ride from start to end and everywhere in between. What I loved about this film is it's almost like a character study on manipulation and abusive relationships. I found personally because the wolf, the bad guy, what's his name? He's just called the guy. He's called the guy. The guy in the film, he is evil as they come. And at the start, he's the nice guy and he's obviously waiting for his prey in the place. But I also think his relationship with the dude that's like helping him, his accomplice, is very interesting because they both he has like this push and pull kind of power. And it's all about his power and how he puts his power on people. And I think it is so interesting. I did write down a couple of quotes that I was blown away by. Well, I guess like some moments that I was blown away for. I felt like the guy when he got, I forget what happened to him the first time he got kind of like slashed, the accomplice, and the guy's just duct taping him up. And he said, no need for the hospital, and somehow convinces this guy not to go to the hospital or worry about himself. And the power he has over him is just phenomenal. And the switches are just, when I say phenomenal, it's just like interesting to watch. I obviously don't condone any of this. I hope you knew that. But it is the way they portray it and the way they show it is so interesting. I have been reading a lot about these situations and about how master manipulators really are likable people because obviously that's how they get away with it. And I feel like this is such a good metaphor or just example of that. Just the way he goes about his everything in this film, and he's completely psychotic, but he seems like he can morph into a normal person. And we see this again as he approaches and she's called the Huntress, the woman from the start, with the campfire story, and the son, and he's repeating what he's going to say to them before he even gets there. And I think that's so interesting. It shows, obviously, the situation where the main character, Eve, goes in and goes to talk to the boy, and then it goes backwards and shows you you know, how he was able to manipulate and get into that situation first. May throw people off because you see something one way and then they have to fully explain how it came to be. But I actually really liked it because I felt like the film is a lot from his point of view, the guy, his point of view of how he's getting around, how he's hunting her down, and how he's using other people along the way. And it really is a lot after they get into the car from his point of view, from him freaking out that, you know, his accomplice is disgusted by him and they go to kiss. Like, he's just fucking with people all over the place, and it's so interesting to watch. And yeah, I was kind of blown away from that. Also, that part when he's getting strangled by the accomplice, and then he's saying, oh, you know, I shouldn't have done that, I'm sorry for that, and then he just duct tapes his face. I love how he's just like duct taping everything. And it's funny weapon of choice, you know, when he duct tapes his face, it's just such an interesting moment. I don't know, you keep wondering when he's gonna flip. And even when the car rolls and then he's like, you know, putting down all of the liquid, the fluid, and then he's about to set it on fire, and the guy's just like getting out last minute, and you just don't know if he's going to burn him alive. And that is what is so terrifying about his character. I believe he's one of the best villains, or not, you know what I mean by best. He's the most scariest villain I've seen in any film I've watched in a long time, to be honest, because he's so unpredictable and he just does not give a fuck. He will turn on someone like that. And just to see the way his brain is working, he's not just like this evil boogeyman in the shadows, to go along with him and see how he's finding his prey and what he's doing just makes it so much more terrifying. And you lose your faith in humanity. I also like that the Huntress is the only one who kind of challenges him and sees through him. Obviously the son just rules, but she just has that moment where you can tell that she doesn't buy his story. And I don't think that he's been threatened like that before. So that's how he offs her so quick. Obviously you don't know what he's planning, but he only gets really pissed off when she starts asking questions. So I thought that was interesting that she was the only one who questioned him in the way she did. I just thought it was fun. The film has some really intense moments, and I love the music. They have this anxiety pumping beat that's almost like the bass in my house was like, you know, it was almost like a heartbeat, and it was a lot to take in, and it felt, anxiety inducing. So I think that was really well done. But I will say the end is such a weird ride. As soon as they run through that new development place and the security comes out, and then they go into that, you know, the showroom, I guess, or whatever, of the show house of the, what do you call it? Demo model? I don't know what it's called, but you know what I mean? Like the house that they're showing, and have that weird fight in there, and then the wolf. It's like all over the place. I really do think the end is intended to be who the real wolf is, which, you know, when the wolf comes and kind of destroys him, she's kind of standing there, and it feels like maybe she was the wolf in sheep's clothing, which I thought was really cool, like a little twist on it. But I really didn't think it had much to do with Red Riding Hood at all. I was really surprised by this film. I thought it was shocking. The gore was just fantastic, especially that guy's face when he gets like hit by that rock. Whatever she throws at him is just, oh, it's awful. And when the villain sticks his like finger in that guy's wound, just things that made me squirm, you know? I like that. And I don't know, I just thought it was very different, and sometimes it's nice to watch something that is following a different method, that isn't just all about the main character and her background. It was really interesting to learn about the villain and not sympathize with him, but just to learn about how he's doing what he's doing, not why, but his process. I think it's very scary. Anyway, I think I might be the only one who really liked that film, but I would love to hear your opinion down below in the comments. I love doing these little chats, so thanks for being part of my Patreon. Again, if you want any videos, please ask for them. Please let me know down below. If you want me to do an updated setup, I do a lot of behind the scenes, but I've done them before. I've done like how I make thumbnails, my whole process, all that kind of stuff. They are all bonus videos, so if you're ever curious about anything like that, just ask me. I can drop some other links, but also I'm happy to update any of those videos if you think it would be helpful. I know a lot of you guys have your own channels, tutorials. So if you think of anything that might be helpful for you, I'm more than happy to help where I can, and tell you how I do things if you want to get some ideas. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day. Thank you again for being part of the Patreon. You really keep my channel going, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. Stay spooky.